Maryland, Mr. Brown.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my friend from Virginia. I rise in strong support of the Congressional Black Caucus budget, which is a more responsible alternative than the GOP budget. A nation's budget reflects its priorities, but the GOP budget continues to push the wrong ones, catering to the wealthy and the special interests. The GOP likes to say that a rising tide lifts every boat, but that's only if every vessel is seaworthy. The GOP budget leaves too many Americans in dinghies, in rubber rafts, and rowboats that are subject to be capsized. It includes trillions of dollars in irresponsible cuts, $5.4 trillion slashed from job-creating programs, $2 trillion cut from Medicaid and Medicare, $5 billion eliminated from investments to education, research, and infrastructure that will prevent us from competing globally. The GOP budget would devastate our economy by balancing the budget on the backs of students, workers, seniors, the disabled and vulnerable communities in Maryland and across our country. And for what? To provide tax cuts to the top 1%, people who make at least $900,000 every year? In stark contrast, the CBC would create a fairer tax code and provide much more investments in our communities. Our budget would boost our GDP by $329 billion. I, too, Mr. Speaker, serve on the House Armed Services Committee, and I stand here to say that the CBC's budget would end sequestration for our military so that we can improve military readiness and at the same time restore critical domestic programs that support working families and revitalize our neighborhoods. Rather than giving the top 1% a $6 trillion tax cut, our budget would call for major investments here at home. $665 billion to modernize highways and infrastructure, $120 billion in job-creating programs, $80 billion so that every child learns in a modern classroom, and $15 billion to rebuild our VA. And perhaps most importantly, Mr. Speaker, we invest $300 billion over the next decade to eradicate poverty and provide basic standard of living to all Americans. Mr. Speaker, our budget responsibly pays for all of our investments. Our budget is a credible alternative and a real plan for America, and I urge my colleagues to support the CBC budget